Hello, and welcome to the Hawa Kaporo show from the PGCC studio. We talk about a lot of things on this show, and today we're going to be talking about politics. And with me here today in this studio, I have two guests. The first one is the Libertarian Party Senate candidate. He's here with us, Mr. Mike Scott. And also with us, we have Austin Okore, who is a student, but really passionate about politics. We're going to start with you, Mike Scott. Welcome. I know it's your first time here on my show, the Hawa Kaporo Show. Welcome, and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me, Hawa. It's great to be here.
It's a great pleasure to have you. And Austin, thank you also for clearing your schedule to be here with us. So we're going to start with you before we dive into politics and everything. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Well, first, I'm thanking you because most young folks don't care at all about politics. I mean, in academia, it's different and a lot more folks are involved, but people your age, by and large, don't have informed opinions. So I'm glad you're here. My name's Mike Scott. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, shy boy. And I went to Florida when I was about 12 years old. Went to high school down there. Then I joined the military at 18, did 22 years in the military, first enlisted and then as an officer. And then I did various jobs contracting overseas. I did a couple more, and I'm a transplant to Maryland. I've been stationed here at least twice. And I decided to move here because I have family in the area, and I brought my kids, I brought my mom, my sister, because I love Maryland and what it has to offer.
Thank you. So. And you, Austin, what made you passionate about politics? Because it's so rare to see young people exactly be passionate about that.
And that's precisely why I've been passionate. I want to inspire change in the youth because I feel like a lot of the people in my generation believe that politics is like an old person's game or like something that they don't have to involve themselves in. But politics is like it affects every single person in every single country in the world. And like at some point, like our generation is going to be old enough to become the future leaders of society. So we need to make sure people are versed in politics. So like they're going to know how to effectively lead this country.
Yeah, like when you're young, your point of view matters. That's what people try to forget about.
And I'd like to add on to that as well. I feel like if people get into the politics too late, they sort of fall into a political binary where it's like, oh, you have to be a Democrat or Republican. And they don't understand that you have other options. If you like research each political ideology for yourself, you can come to a conclusion of like what best suits you. That's why we have other people who become libertarians as well.
Thank you, Austin. That's great.
And piggybacking on that, that's why it's so important. The Libertarians are the third largest political party in Maryland. We're on the ticket. We don't have to get petition signed. We don't have to go through all the hoops that the two-party duopoly has placed in front of third-party candidates to get on the ballot. I am the candidate for Senate for the Libertarian Party in Maryland. I'm going to the U.S. Senate and I'm trying to take Ben Cardin's spot.
Okay.
And I think we have a unique opportunity to do it because people are getting tired of business as usual. And if we don't vote for a change, I mean, most folks that I know are fairly centrist. They're not hardcore right or hardcore left, but the two-party duopoly panders to the worst of both parties, frankly. And it's time to get someone in there who does things that make sense and increases freedom for the people of Maryland and the American people, because Senate affects everything.
That's it. That's probably why you decided to jump into politics. But that's a thing, to have this vision and to have to feel like doing it. What is also important is to have the support of the loved one. Do you have the support on that from your family, from your friends?
Okay, so a little bit about Mike Scott. I'm just a guy. I'm a guy who decided to make a change. And my family, I expected everybody to say, you can't possibly do that. What are you, crazy? And everybody said, dude, that's a really good idea. Man, you should do it.
So nobody was surprised that you wanted that this new chapter, to add this new chapter in your life.
A couple of people were surprised, and frankly, I'm one of them, because for my entire life, I've been planning to get enough of a nest egg where I could move someplace comfortable and afford to live there and just be comfortable and work sporadically and just enjoy life. You know, enjoy my retirement. I'm about at that age where I'm about to start having grandkids for real. So I wanted to just retire, but we're normalizing the abhorrent in this country. And nobody's changing things, and nobody's making decisions that I thought were best for the American people or the people of Maryland. It appears they're selling out the country for something so insignificant as money.
That's right.
I mean, money's always been the easy part.
Yeah. Do you have some of your friends that are always not surprised but confused about your passion about politics? You get that a lot?
I'd say maybe like 80% of my friends are confused on
I'm
that.
sure.
Because they're like, oh,
I'm sure you do.
why are you so worried about politics? Why can't you focus on something else? It's like everyone has their passions, everyone has their hobbies. And something that like affects us to this level is just something that I've always wanted to get into. Like since I was young, I've always been a bit of a contrarian, you know. So when someone tells me to like do something a certain way, I'm kind of like, why are they telling me to do it this way? Let me weigh my options, you know. Let me do my own research and find out what's best for me. So like when I was told from a young age, you must vote Democrat, you must do this, everything must be this way. I asked the question why when most people wouldn't ask the question why. So I did my additional research and I came to a conclusion. When we look at the Democrat and the Republican parties, even though they appear vastly different, they're tied in by one crucial thing.
We're going to talk about
like
that.
we were talking about.
That's right. We're going to come back to you, my Scott. So a few weeks ago, you've been nominated and selected as the Libertarian Party candidate for...
I will be on the ballot next November.
Next November. So now tell us, what qualities do you possess that you believe will make you a successful or an effective senator? If you have to sell yourself out there.
Sell myself out
What do you think that's...
Well, I actually have core values. My core values are integrity, loyalty, and kindness. And those are important. Integrity is doing the right thing even when no one's looking. Loyalty is being loyal to folks as long as it doesn't impugn your integrity. And kindness is missing in government. I call myself a bleeding heart conservative. But that's just core values and that's just rhetoric. When I approach a problem, the first thing the Air Force taught me to do when I was very young was statistics, because I was doing statistical analysis as a computer programmer. The second thing they taught me to do when I switched over and became an officer was strategic planning. They taught me to get a large view of the entire picture, not just the part you like. And they went through and they established this thing called the MDMP, the Military Decision Making Process. The Air Force's version was called the OODA loop, Observe, Orient, Decide, Act. And it's an iterative process for decision making. You asked me another question a little while ago. It was, you know, what do you think are the top issues for Maryland voters?
Yeah, exactly. We're going to be my second question, because you will have to represent the whole state.
Well, when you asked me that question, what I did was I had a small sampling of family and friends and people that I work with, because I've been to a lot of gun shows, Libertarian Party meetings, and things like that. And I understand their issues. But as far as the broader sense, I wasn't sure. So I did, let me get a lay of the land. That's the observe part of that OODA loop. Get a view of what is. So you get a view of what is, you move on to orient. You figure out, this is what the lay of the land is. These are my options for fixing it. You develop and you brainstorm courses of action with others that are interested, right? So what I did was, I didn't know enough. I went and researched it. I had to go figure it out. So I went and looked at what Maryland's been voting on for the last 2 or 3 election cycles. And then I realized that still wasn't a satisfactory number. So for me to get a good idea of the battle space, I need to actually go out. So I'm going to be going around. I'm hoping to come here. I'm going to go to the sheriff's office. I'm going to go to different folks and ask, hey, what are your issues
in that stage,
and how can I help you? And I plan on going all over the state. You know, we usually ignore Western Maryland. I'm planning on going out to Accident. I'm going to go down to Accokeek, St. Charles, and I'm actually going to find out what the people of Maryland find important, because I know what I think is important. I know what
that you have to share with them.
Yeah.
You were a young man. What's your take on what he just said about that?
I actually appreciate everything that he said, especially about going to like the far reaches of Maryland, because a lot of politicians, they don't really see voters as people, they just see them as potential votes. So they'll go to like areas where like, oh, this is a battleground area, or this is a turbulent area, let me sway them to my side. But this person's actually going to every reach of Maryland just to spread his ideology. It's like an actual genuine belief in something, which is something that's been exempt from politics for as long as I can remember. It's like, it's not people focus, it's just business focus. There's no like empathy or logic, but this is a combination of empathy and logic, and I appreciate it.
And to be clear, I really don't want to change anyone's mind. I was talking with a friend of mine. Unfortunately, she suffers from depression and anxiety, and I'm a proponent of medical cannabis. And I was talking to her, and her mom asked me, did you bring weed up in my house? And I said, no, ma'am, no. I know your position on it. But her mother suffers, she's a stage 4 cancer patient, which, you know, is sad. And she has a prescription for morphine and takes morphine every day. So it's not just about getting the facts out there and doing stuff. It's about, I'm not trying to change minds, because it's not just data, it's cultural. So what I'm trying to do is increase freedom for everyone so you can be informed and make the right choices. Put the information out there, get the people where they need to be, and then if you appreciate the way things are going for the past 5 years, by all means, keep voting the way you're voting. I'm not trying to change your mind, but if you think that a change can be had, then we have to make a change. And the only way to do that is to do something different.
And it costs a lot also to make that change.
Yes.
It costs a lot.
Yes.
So now that you are engaged in this, I don't want to say battle or game, it's a new chapter of your life. What will be your strategy that you're going to use to raise enough money to campaign? Because you have to be competitive, even if this is the third, you say that it's the third biggest party. Yes,
biggest party.
But you have all the big body out there. So you need a really good strategy. What do you think you're going to be able to do that? How are you going to do that?
I'm going to cheat. Like he said,
you know,
people set up rules. And people set up rules. How do you know it's a rule unless you give it a good kick? They say you have to make money. The internet is flat. I can get a viral TikTok and get my message out there like that. The people that want you beholden to their system want you engaged in spending money. The candidate wins, I think 90% of the time is the person, or 94% of the time is the person that raises the most money. I am never gonna out-earn David Fromm if he's the you know, the de facto candidate, the total wine guy. I'm never going to be the guy to get more money. So I plan on reaching the people, asking for the donations, but I'm really doing a grassroots. I'm getting in my little white truck and I'm driving across the state and talking to people where they are, and I'm going to try and show people who I am and show that I'm earnest and honest about getting things where they should be, because we are only as weak as the least of us. But we are only strong as the weak of us, and we need to raise everybody's level.
Okay. Osen, I see that it looks like you have anything to say quickly, because we don't have enough time. If you have to add anything on what he just said.
Yes, more so just to agree again. It's just that I feel like it ties back into the whole, like the main political organizations, the main political parties want to trap us into this loop where it's their way or the highway. And they're afraid of like the third parties. They're afraid that people are breaking through and finding like new ways to get the word out. Like, it's not just money focus, it's just the people focus, and that's what we need in politics.
Okay, so in a few seconds, Michael Scott, once again, thank you for being here. If you have to look into the camera and just speak to people that are watching you right now, what would they tell them? Like a few seconds.
The height of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different outcome. Or the way my dad said it was, if you always do what you always did, you'll always get what you always get what you always got. And it's completely true. If you like to see a change, you have to be a change. And I'm gonna poach Austin here because I need him on my team. He's passionate about politics. I'm serious, I gotta build one. I need volunteers and I need people, because this entire game is powered by money. And the only way to cheat is to touch people's souls, get them involved with the process, and bring them on the team. Because you guys are the future of politics, not me.
No
you know,
doubt.
I'm here, you get 1, maybe 2 terms out of me. I am not trying to run for re-election and do this until I'm 80.
Okay.
So-
Thank you. Thank you. We can talk for the whole day.
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am.
I want to
Yes.
thank again my guest, Mike Scott, Libertarian Party Senate candidate, who is here, and Austin O'Carroll. Thank you also for your input. Thank you too for tuning in, and we're gonna see you next time. Bye.